Finance. Okay, next up, Randy Wasi, 410 is the bill, Chair PUC, Interim Chair PUC. Written testimony with comments. Jackie, individual. Written testimony and support. That's all we have for 410. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to testify? Oh, okay. Members, questions since there's nobody here except our former chair. Okay. Probably have to talk story with you later. And then next up, so we have House Bill 420, Randy Uwasi, Public Utilities Commission Chair, with comments. We have Jeffrey Ono, Executive Director of the DCCA, Consumer Advocate.
Hi, Dean Sheen on behalf of Jeffrey Ono. We stand in support of the intent.
The intent.
Yeah, and offer comments.
And you offer comments.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's all we have on 420. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to testify? Seeing none, members, questions? Seeing none, let's move. Oh, yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I please have DCCA come up?
Well, we're back to 420.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry. In your written testimony, or at least in the testimony of DCCA, you folks note that this particular measure, as currently drafted, would potentially cause additional time, effort, and money to be incurred to essentially duplicate procedures already being followed. Can you please elaborate on that?
Well, based on our reading of the proposed measure, possibly requiring the Public Utilities Commission to conduct or have conducted on the major, well, specifically this seems to be targeting the Hawaiian electric companies. There's already a financial audit that's performed by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the other comments we were offering was with respect to management audits. And management audits can require significant time, money, and efforts, but then the results are often somewhat less than satisfactory. So that's where our comments were suggesting that you need to be careful about how you design the scope of the audit to ensure that it results in...
The duplicative work is not being...
Right, as well as you actually get results that you want, as opposed to just some general testing that the auditors would normally do anyway.
Okay. And then your written testimony goes on further to note that the measure is unclear regarding the source of the funds that will pay for the audit?
Right. Well, because it's requiring an audit, and I had already mentioned, for instance, there's a financial audit that's conducted. That's paid by the company and essentially recovered from the ratepayers. But the concern is generally if the payment to the auditor is being made by the utility company, there is some concern with the apparent objectivity of the audit, because what usually happens after an audit, the audit results, initial audit results, are discussed with the person who hired them, and then there's an opportunity for those comments to be addressed. So ultimately, if there are certain findings, the report may be somewhat whitewashed, so to speak. So in terms of who pays for it, I guess we're raising if the audit is going to move forward, it may be more appropriate, say, for the Public Utilities Commission to engage the third-party auditor. But if that's the case, then that isn't necessarily built into the Public Utilities Commission's budget, and then there would need to be some accommodation for that.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Real quickly. Yes, for him.
How much are we looking at?
Yeah.
For the audit?
It depends on what type of audit. I can't give you, I can tell you I used to be an auditor with a Big Six firm, and it depends on the scope of the audit. It will be at least 5 figures, if not 6.
Okay. Thank you.
And so real quickly, that would come out of the ratepayers. If the PUC, if we don't have the PUC funding it out of general fund, i.e. taxpayers' money, then it would be assessed on the ratepayers, right?
Well, if the utility company is required to pay for the cost of the audit, it will most likely be reflected as one of their operating expenses and ultimately be built in for recovery through the base rates. If the Public Utilities Commission is supposed to pay for the cost of the audit, it would most likely be funded, assuming that an appropriation is made for it through the Public Utility Commission's special fund, which is ultimately collected from ratepayers anyway.
So ratepayers again, right? So a six-figure audit that is paid for by the ratepayers would be pretty much the end game then.
If it's required. Again, I'm offering that a financial audit is already conducted.
Yes, the management side I'm looking.
Right, but if you want a management audit, again, it depends on the scope of the audit, and 5 figures, 6 figures.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions at all? You, yes, no?
No.
Is that a yes or
Just
no?
just real quick follow up on that one.
Okay, go for it.
Just very briefly, is there anything that would prohibit us from statutorily preventing the recovery of a specific item like that from ratepayers?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Is there anything that would prevent us from statutorily preventing recovery for something like an audit?
I mean, I don't want to speak to whether or not there's something that would statutorily prohibit you. I can offer that it is possible for the Public Utilities Commission to require that certain expenses be recorded, and to use a term of art, below the line. So any expense that's treated as below the line would not be recoverable through base rates.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Chair,
No, thank you very
Chair,
much.
I got some questions.
Oh, yes. You can speak, why don't you, please?
You're not a podiatrist, are you? Just kidding. Audit review is different from a full-blown audit, correct? Much cheaper.
You can have different scopes for audit, so you could have a less expensive one as compared to a
Right.
full financial audit.
And my sense is this is really to determine not so much the financial aspects of it, which an audit review, the lesser of the two, would take into account, but more or less the management, I would think. And that's what we're looking at, right? Management audit in that case.
I don't know what the intent of the
Yeah.
proposed measure is.
So-
I can tell you just by reading what's there, requiring a financial and management audit, the
Yeah.
language is there, and so if the commission is required to run a financial audit, we would likely duplicate that which is already done. And to answer your question, actually, sometimes management audits can actually be more expensive than a
Right.
financial audit, again, depending on the scope of the
But the
audit.
language, as you just stated, says financial and management audit. So you're going for the Cadillac on both. If we went financial, just audit review for the finances, but a full-blown management audit, because I think that's the intent. What are they doing over there, right? That would lower the expense, correct? Generally speaking.
If you're
Not holding your feet to the fire.
right, so if you're asking if the total cost for financial and management would be greater than just the management, then the answer would be
Just the
yes.
management and the financial audit review. Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Very good. Good?
We're good?
Good, right on.
We lowered the cost right there.
Hey, you're doing it.
Substantially.
Are you laughing? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may speak for a moment, I feel my very presence has doomed the outcome of this measure.
I think the press conference doomed the outcome of the measure. No, but we take all measures. That's why we're hearing it. It's a good discussion that we need to have. So, all kidding aside, it is an important measure. That's why we want to hear it. Okay, House Bill 745. Just edification. We have two.